Bodo Glimt je svakako jedan od klubova koji je napravio najveće iznenađenje u prethodne možda 2 ili 3 sezone i ono što su oni uradili zaslužilo je pažnju ne samo Evrope, već i čitavog sveta. Jedan od ljudi o kojima se mnogo priča je Bjorn Mannsverk, čovek koji je na neki način mentalni trener u klubu. Uspeo sam da dođem do njega i ovo je razgovor sa njim. Naravno, zahvalnost Generali osiguranju, zahvalnost Plazmi što podržavaju ovaj podcast i što nam pomažu. Bjorn, it's good morning, right, for you?
Yeah, good. Yeah, early morning. Thank you. Yeah.
You're in New York doing your regular job, but I'm here to ask you something about things related to football, but also it's related to life as well, right?
Yeah, it is. So, yes, shoot.
Okay, you know that Bodo Glimt played versus Red Star, I think 2 seasons ago. And that it was really important game for qualifiers for the Champions League. Bodo lost that second game, and after that moved to semi-final of Europa League. So my question is, did that game affect Bodo Glimt, and in what terms?
Yeah, I was not there on this game, but I remember there was a lot of talking about going there at the stadium, the tunnel, the crowd, the noise. So I think it did affect the players. So, but I think that's the way it is. You need to be exposed to that over time, and hopefully you will learn, and you will be less afraid. So I think we were affected, but then we moved into Europe League, and it was a tremendous journey as well. So,
tell me, is it more difficult to work with a player after the big win or after the big loss?
Yeah, I think it's in a way it's easier to work when you are struggling a little bit. So I think that's also very human when we are succeeding in everything. We don't really see the need to continue to work on the basic. It is like if you do training to avoid back pains, you kind of forget to do the training when you don't have back pains. So it's like,
yeah, I understand. And tell me, do you think that success is more based on mental training and is depending more on the mental training than tactics, or is it measurable at all?
I think that's a tough debate. I remember that one Norwegian football coach, Ronny Deila, he once said that football is approximately 70% mentality. So I didn't hear it myself, but what did he put into that? I mean, tactic could be a lot of mentality as well. But we know for sure that the best players or the best athletes, the high performers, you can kind of, me and you, we could have the same potential. We train the same amount on training, but when we compete, there's a big difference between you and me. And we know for sure that mentality is a big factor. So really trusting your skills, negating your inner critical voice, and so on, and also your capability to actually recover. So that's the most dominant distinguishing factor, is your capability to recover. And recovery in itself is a lot about mentality. To leave something behind and start to get some rest or some sleep, or just get ready for what's next.
But how do you do it during the game when you make a mistake? What do you recommend to the players?
Yeah, that's not only in games, but in life in general. When you are in a situation where you are competing or the game is on, you are in a situation where you want to perform. You basically need to perform at a high level. You need to be present. You need to be here now. So by saying that, I'm saying that if you get distracted and you have a hang up to what you did, then you are already losing some of your capacity to perform right now. So the answer is very easy. Leave it behind. But it's not that easy in reality, obviously. But thinking too much ahead and thinking too much backwards is just taking away your capacity. We need to be present. That's the rule number one.
Do you do that through some specific regime, mental training, or just speaking to yourself? How do you train for those situations?
First of all, we kind of have this talk where we get the insight. It makes sense in a way that, yeah, I think that's smart. I think it's smart for me to be present. Then we have to start practicing. And in mental training, there is no quick fix in a way. It's very seldom that you find quick fix, but you could have some shortcuts. And I myself was trained in that shortcut, and that is actually to focus on awareness training, to be present. And the technique or the training itself is that you just make sure that you are present here now. We use meditation, for instance, just observing your breathing, not manipulating your breathing, but just observing your breathing, because it's only here and now. And then be really good on realizing that, wow, I'm not present now. So it's not like to continue to be present. It's more to be really good on discovering that, oh, I'm not present, and then obviously return back to what you need to focus on. So that's mindfulness-based training is what we do with the players. So when you are out there on the pitch and you realize that, well, now I'm starting to think about that mistake, then I need to refocus and be present here and now. So that's not the quick fix, but it's a shortcut.
During the week, how many sessions do you have with the players? Does that depend on the schedule or something else? Or you need to do specific amount of training sessions between you and them?
That always depends on the team's schedule. So right now we are in a period where we play the cup and we play the league, and basically 2 games a week. So I need to find some space in between. Otherwise, my contribution is basically just adding load to their every day. But what we have seen in Bodo Glimt is that we believe that it's most effective if I can remain an outsider perspective. I'm an outsider in the way that I don't really understand football that well, but I'm also an outsider that I'm not around all the time. So we have figured out that if I can engage like every 3rd week, maybe so one to 3 times in 2 months, that's a pretty good spacing, and then I engage with each and every. Right now, it changes all the way we do it. But right now, I'll do a short catch up with all the players via WhatsApp, for instance, digital, with the intention just like, okay, how are you right now? If you have something special, we can find another time and just do a basic one-to-one. But the intention is more like, what's going on? What do you think are important topics to discuss as a group? And then so that's a short one, 10-15 minutes is what I schedule, but then it could be shorter or longer. And then I can kind of collect all that information and then I meet up with the captain's team. We have 8 captains right now. We have 7, and I just share. This is what I understand is happening now in the club, or amongst the players, and then they share their perspectives. So then we figure out, okay, we think this is the most important thing to talk about, and then we split up into smaller groups. All the captains split up and they lead this conversation with the players. So it makes it easy for people to share concerns or whatever when there are smaller groups and no coaches are near. And then we meet again. And so what happened? And what should we focus on now? Because tomorrow you're going to meet up with the coach team, and then you're going to. So it's basically putting feedback into a structure, and also using me in my role, but also the players and the captains and building leadership. So a long answer to your question, but that's what we do right now. So keep it easy, once a month, very time compressed, and use spending as little time as possible. But then each and everyone can obviously have something to work on, and we can meet maybe a little bit more often to discuss their personal issues.
Your team is based around local players. So it crossed my mind because not only Norwegian culture or Scandinavian culture, but it crossed my mind that most of your team, or almost everyone, was born in, let's say, cold weather, if you understand. So you have a Russian, you have a guy from Denmark, you have Norwegians. Do you think that your approach is adaptable to other cultures, or do you think it's maybe focused around the background?
I think that it can adapt more or less everywhere. At least I don't think it's linked to where we are from, like cold weather or something like that. I think that it just happened when we started that we had some good players, local players. Some of them left the club and they are back again. So we know who they are, and they know very well the way we are playing and the culture. So I don't think that we have a specific focus that we need to find some locals, but we will use whatever. What we see now is more identifying not only talented football players or skillful football players. We need to recruit skillful football players with the right attitude, because culture is so important for us. So if that's a Swedish or a Serbian football player, I don't think that matter, to be honest. I think that you need to be good enough, but you definitely need also to have the right attitude.
But how do you measure attitude? What do you look? Do you look at the player? Do you speak with him before? Because I see that this is a really tough decision and really one of the crucial questions, because talent, you can see it, but how he will adapt, you don't know, right?
No. So there's always be risk. I think that in the beginning we had some ideas that I should take part in the recruiting process, but that process is like, when it kicks off, it happens when it happens, and I'm not that available. So they do it themselves in a way. But I think that the more we learn about culture, the more we can kind of be precise what we are looking for, what we're not looking for, and the recruiters or the scouts, they have that in their back of the mind, and they are part of the club. I think they just become better and better on identifying the right type of guy to recruit. And it takes time to identify what's a good culture. So I think that's also something that we have been achieving a lot more on that side the three last years. So we've been through a more difficult period, and now it's better.
One of my friend coaches asked me to ask you, do you speak in the same terms with the coach and the players? And do you speak with the coaching staff, with the managing board, with the players, or you are focused only at one group?
No, I think that it's important to understand that this is not a one-man show. So even we talk now, when I talk about mental training, this is our way of doing it. So when I was invited into the club in 2017, that was initiated from the leader of the sport part of the club, Håvard Zakariasen. So he had that idea. He saw the need, and he's a very creative guy. He's very into mental part as well, but he's busy with his work. And then we had this head coach, Kjetil Knutsen. He was assistant when we started in 2017. He was a strong believer, and then it was like kind of, for me, it was very important that we need to do this together, because we have to develop together. We have to, each and everyone, we also have to develop our way together. So you have to put a lot of commitment into this. So basically, sometimes we don't really know who came up with the good idea. It kind of, and that's not so important. It's like, we believe in this, and then we try it. So for me, I've always been talking to people. So I can have a chat with the CEO in the club. I could talk to those that run the matches. I can talk to the medical team, and I talk to the coach team and to the players. So I think that's what I do. I just mingle around, small talks with people, and then suddenly you were surprised. The good ideas, they pop up here and there, and we just need to talk about it and agree that we're going to do something. So I think that's also this outsider perspective. I'm not part of kind of truly linked to anybody, so I can talk to everybody, and then obviously I can also talk to the coach team or the coach Kjetil Knutsen himself, and challenge him a little bit.
What was the main thing helped you creating club identity from 2017, when the club was relegated to second division, up to now? What were the main topics and main spots how to create Bodo Glimt identity?
I think by far the most important change came in January 2019, but it started already when I started in the club, because I have my background from the fighter pilot community, and for more than 20 years I was trained and in the way and drilled in the way we worked, and also in the way we were thinking. But for us, we luckily we more or less never could look at the results to judge how good we were, because we didn't go to war that often as a Norwegian fighter pilot. But we got used to that, and we saw the benefit. We were always striving to be the best version of ourselves, always developing. But when I came into Bodo Glimt, I was very surprised actually how focused they were on winning. It was all about winning games, and obviously I also want to win. But for me, I couldn't really understand how they can define that. If we win, that is a good performance. If we lose, that's a bad performance. And that was totally. I couldn't understand that way of thinking. So I started to challenging them on that. So in January 2019, I was told that now this was the last speech or last talk with the players I talked to. I talked to 10 players before they went for this preseason camp, and I was told that during the preseason camp, the coach team and the players, they will meet and agree on ambitions for the coming season. So I just asked them, again, so what do you think the ambition is going to be? And then they came with all these results, top 5, so many points, and blah, blah, blah. And I think I was a little bit tired of that, irritated me. So I challenged back. I gave them why don't you just leave the results and go for what we call your own performance, what you can control. And they were a little bit friction, and then they were, I guess they were brainwashed by then. So then they switched and said, yeah, I think that's a good idea. And then we could tell that to the head coach, and he was also already in part of that process. So they never met. He just made a decision. From now on, we're not going to have any kind of goals. We just focus on performance. I think that's the most important. If you're going to point out one factor, because that takes away so much fear of failing, and it also makes learning so much easier because we get so biased when we look at the result. So that's if it's one factor, I would point out that.
But that means that CEO, managing people, the board need to be on board as well, right?
Yeah. So and also, now I mentioned Håvard Zachariasen and Kjetil Knutsen, and obviously I can mention many of the players have been really important, more than just playing football, but to develop this. But the CEO, Frode Thomassen, he also started in the club in 2017, and he was watching the first team from his side, and he saw that we were accelerating. We were really getting the results, even though we were not focusing on the results. So he understood that I need to onboard the rest of the club. So then he started to draft a strategy document to describe where are we going, and we got engaged, me and him. I was walking around talking to everybody, and then we formed a new strategy document. But it was so very much different from the old one. It was also challenging some of the old truth about Bodo Glimt, that this was a North Norwegian. We whatever we do, we want to make North Norwegian people proud, and for us that was kind of a little bit limiting. We could make it bigger. So he had to deal with the rest of the club and start feeding it in bit by bit, and he also went to the boardroom to make them kind of bite by bite prepare them for this strategy document. So he's been and he's still really important in making sure that the mentality is anchored in the right way, and then we are still working on implementing the strategy and the mentality.
So as you said, hardworking and mentality, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And one more thing, you said that this is a process and that you don't think that players should pay more attention to one game or another, that players should, correct me if I'm wrong, that players should give their best all the time, not for the, I don't know, Champions League quarterfinals, then, I don't know, League Cup game, right?
Yeah, that's the ideal, is that in a way, when we work with implementing changes, we want to create good habits, more or less autopilots. So, and when you do that, the principle is very, very basic, because you just need to repeat the same behavior over time with quality. So if we want to perform at a high level, we need to practice over time to the same quality in every game. It doesn't matter who we are playing against. Otherwise, if you're kind of slacking off 4 out of 5 times, how can you really expect that you automatically will perform at your highest level? Or that is recovery processes, nutrition. It comes with everything. So that's one thing. We also believe that you should kind of meet every game the same way. or at least we believed. So we try to do every game or prepare for every game the same way. So we don't spend more time on video when we are playing Atletico Madrid and playing a Norwegian team in a perfect world, because as soon we human beings, we kind of pick up if we see changes. So we see like we do something special. So for instance, if I suddenly should have a kind of a pep talk just before a game, it will be like, this is strange. This is not the way Bjorn. Okay, maybe this is an important game, and it's easier to get more afraid of losing it. This is a more important game. So that's one way of thinking. So right now, we think that maybe we sometimes need to point out that this is a more important game than the others. So we get some practice with dealing with fear and expectations. So you see, we are changing the way we work over time.
You said that thinking too much slows down. In these days, in this world, to tell you the truth, this is the problem with most of the people, to overthink.
Oh yeah. So that's one benefit of being present in the present moment, because then it's basically no stress. But obviously you need to face reality. But this mindfulness training, not only it increases your capacity to be present, or your skills to understand that you are not present, that you are distracted, but it also increases your awareness on your thoughts and your feelings. And we know that thoughts and feelings are impacting our decisions. So it's better to be aware of those, because then you are in a better position to control it. And we don't believe that you can control your thoughts and feelings. They kind of pop up when they pop up in magnitude and in form, shapes, and so on. So it's more like, oh, there you are. This is just the way I'm thinking. That's not reality. I will be judged on what I do, not what I think. And obviously, part of those thoughts are all those scary scenarios that I'm going to fail, I'm going to make a fool out of myself, I'm going to let down my team, and so on, and just let it be, in a way.
You said Autopilot. That's the name of your book, right? So, shortly, does making yourself on autopilot means that you should be disciplined to the extreme?
To the extreme, I think that first of all, autopilot is part of us. That's how our brain is designed. So in awake time, we are almost half of the time on autopilot. We are not present or make conscious decisions. But that's why we can walk and run and eat and everything. You don't have to think about it. The good thing about autopilot is that when it's automized, you don't spend a lot of your capacity on doing that. So, but some of these, so autopilots are good for us, because then we can use your capacity on whatever we want to perform in. But some of these autopilots, they could be suboptimal, and some could even be dysfunctional. So we need to kind of identify those and then change it. And that changing process, as I mentioned, that could take a long time, because you have to repeat over time. So, but back to your question, I don't think we should be more on autopilots. That's not my point. I think it is the way it is, but we need to be better on being focused on the right things when we need to do that. And when we are building habits or when we are achieving autopilots, like having good habits, for instance, when we talk about this importance of recovery, that I'm not just relating on discipline. I'm going to self-discipline myself to not eat this or go to bed early enough and don't drink or blah blah blah. If I can make that an autopilot, then I have a more solid foundation, because self-discipline, it will be hard to use self-discipline when you are tired, when you are down, and so on. But if you have the autopilot, then it's good. And in high performance is demanding. If you are at a high performance level, so you need to prioritize, and you need to let something go. So I think that that's also part of the game. So for the rest of your life, I don't know, but if you are living out your dream, if you are really eager to succeed, then I think you need to be really hard on that. And that's what I see with Bodo Glimt players and the coach, how disciplined they are right now.
Right now, yeah, I understand. Bjorn, some people send me some questions through my social media, and some of those questions are really important for them as an athletes or parents. So please don't mind me asking some of those, okay? How to cope with internet addiction?
Internet, yeah.
Or social media addiction, sorry.
Yeah. I think that's a rather big problem today, because that's, to put it that way, we all believe that you become good at what you practice. Isn't that true? Yeah. So if we take this example, that I'm not good on this practice thing because I'm on social media all the time, then I would like to switch it around and say that, no, you can't really say that you're not good on practice. For me, you are really good on practice, but you are practicing the wrong thing. That's why you are so good on being on social media. So if you want to change that, you need to practice it differently. So and taking away social media is really stressful for people when you are addicted. So then my advice, as always, is that when you're gonna do a change here, this is a changing process from being really good on being social media to be better on being off. Always go with this 1% rule. So small changes over time. If you go like what we tend to do on New Year's Eve, that we promise 15-20% change in January, we all normally fail because the load becomes too high. So I think that kind of put on an agreement. Should we have like 30 minutes where we put away our phone or our laptops or iPads, and as a starting point, or 15 minutes, do that for a week, maybe 30 minutes. I think the most important thing is actually that you do it before you go to sleep. Mm-hmm. Give yourself, because that we know that mental activity is disrupting your sleep quality. So it's not only alcohol and nicotine, but it's by far, not by far, but it's a really important factor what you do with your head before you go to bed. So I think that if you can start in the end of the evening, that could really benefit. But start small. Mm-hmm. Don't fix everything in a, yeah.
Tell me, the thing is, one mental technique before the game.
Mindfulness.
Okay.
Mindfulness is, it's one thing. It's just to kind of make sure that you are focused here and now. But then again, for some people, that will kind of calm you down too much. So I think you need to find the right tension level. And what I do with, I don't have like one suggestion to all the players. Is my common thing is that you have to try out what works for you. So some would like to put on noise cancelling headsets to hear nothing, but others put it on to hear loud music. We are different, but we don't like play a loud music in the locker room. People can kind of do their own processes. For me, it's important that you test out what works for you, and maybe you should push yourself a little bit more, or stress yourself up, or calm yourself down a little bit. You have to test out.
Your biggest success and your biggest mistake in Bode?
I never thought about that.
Okay, that's an answer too. That's an answer too. Tell me, do you have some books to recommend?
Yeah, Jon Kabat-Zinn, he got some books about when it comes to mindfulness. Think Fast and Slow with Daniel Kahneman. It's been important to me, at least. Jon Kabat-Zinn is just like he was the first Western author that kind of implemented mindfulness from the East. Now than that, it's more like Norwegian books. I like all when it comes to basic psychology when it comes to human beings. The difference between books, if you can find books that could differ between self-confidence and self-esteem, for instance, that's been really important for me. Cognitive therapist directions, like So, yeah, I think that will be.
At what age a mental coach should be included with working with athletes?
I think a mental coach, I think that it should be part of the mentality from very young age. So I see that for me, I think it could be a little bit challenging to work with young players because everything needs to be approved by the parents until the age of 18. So I think that we should work even more with the parents, not necessarily with the kids.
Good point. We have a really big problem over here, you know.
So it's really hard. I talk to the coaches in the academy, and obviously it's hard for them, even though they have their philosophy. Then they have parents that they say, "No, this is bullshit. We're gonna do it. It's a matter of winning." And it's sad actually to meet those players. One story I had one. It was a talented players, so they asked me to have a chat with him because they knew he was talented, but he didn't really perform. So after a while, he opened up and he told me that he had the parents. One of the parents were really pushing him to make a career and to succeed, and the pressure was so hard, and he was so tired of that. So he actually had decided that I will not perform. I'm not gonna give. That was a dad. This case, it could be a mother. I'm not going to give dad the pleasure to see me succeed. It's really sad to hear.
And is he happy now?
Yeah, I think he left the top level, so I guess he's happy. So, but it's hard talking to those talented players, and they have a very engaged parent, and it's like, I don't know if I'm not sure who I'm talking to. Is it my parent or is it my coach?
Yeah. And you notice that now it's not only about. I spoke with one really famous player, really famous player, and he said, "I don't love the game so much. I play it for the money or for the security." You know, how to balance that?
I think that if in a way you need, if you want to have the right motivation. And to keep on doing this for a long time, you should really enjoy the game. So I mean, that's what I mean by living out your dream. This was your dream. Now you're living out your dream. But if you're going to cope with the pressure and so on, you also need to enjoy it, to have some fun. But I believe there's a lot of players that is in. You see that they make choices where they go for money, not for this club is optimum for me to, then I have optimum conditions to perform. So I think that I kind of accept that as well. But I believe some of them are underperforming. They are good. They are really good, but they could be much better if they had a different philosophy or if they had more joy. I think that but still performing. So, but we all make our own choices, so we have to kind of respect that. But I learned that in my career that when I became too greedy as a fighter pilot, and it was not greedy in the way of, it was not money, and obviously they couldn't sell me to Russia or China, but it was more like I want to become much better. I was already good, but I became greedy on behalf of myself. Then I also became too, what I call professional. So I'm just going to be strictly training. And then I lost the motivation and the pressure became too high. So I had to reset and remember that, hey, I'm living out my dream. I need to do something with my own way of thinking. And that was actually to go in and start doing some fun stuff again. And most of all, relax a little bit, take away the pressure, enjoy the ride.
Will AI influence creating psychological profile of the players, or, for example, the people who you hire? And are you afraid of it? And do you think that it's becoming too much?
No, I think that AI will influence also here. It's already there. I think with all the stats and so on. But from my side, it's hard, for instance, to scale me up. I'm just me, and if I'm going to do one-to-ones with players, there will be kind of a limit. For instance, how many I could do. So and availability as well. So I think that having your AI agent on your laptop, and when you have time, you just have a chat with that AI, and you can discuss. As long as you have kind of the AI have learned our mentality, I think you can run tests on players just to, this is typically you and maybe related to. I never run tests myself, but I think that it could be super with AI. So scared, it doesn't really matter if I'm scared or not. It's going to be what it's going to be.
This is good. And tell me one more thing. One coach who is scientific, who is working as a doctor in the club, asked me, as a mental coach, how much is important, and it's a challenge to adapt at the scientific approach in the club. Like, I don't know, for the medical stuff, or like for some other part of the club, you know. How do you mix that?
Yeah, I think that since I'm walking around talking to people, and for me it's been really important that the head of the medical team, he's a doctor, he's that we talked a lot. And he were very skeptical and he was honest on that, skeptical to my approach. Not necessarily me, but he knew that there's so much strange things out there. But when he finally saw kind of the way I was operating and thinking, he also asked psychiatrists about it. Then he's all in. So he's one of my biggest supporters. So we always talk together. I talk to him. I talk to the staff, and I remember the medical team. They can be mental coaches all the time, because when they massage or they treat the players, they do talk. So we obviously cooperate. So it's like. And they have philosophies that I can use. So it goes back and forth. So that is no problem at all. But remember that what we do is very, very basic. Yeah. Very, very basic. So it's easy to understand. And so it's more the performance mentality. And so I would say we are really like this.
3 more questions and I will leave you. First question. Tell me about Norwegian success in sport, and if I can say in other topics. Norway got the Oscar for the best foreign movie. You have Magnus Carlsen. You won the most Olympic medals in the winter sports. You get the best pension fund. I don't know, some other things are interesting as well. What's the secret and what we can learn from it?
To be a little bit on the side. I mean, if you engage in sports that nobody else do, then you will win a lot of medals, like winter sport.
You're modest. You're modest.
No, but we are doing actually pretty good in summer activities as well. So I think that the Olympic Center in Norway, the mentality they have and the way that's basically how we work as well, based on their model, mental training. I think that's really important. And as a small country like Norway, we can't really afford to lose too many when they grow up. So I think in a bigger country, you can afford to lose many athletes on the way. You will always have plenty on that will perform at top level. We can't afford that, so it's important that we support them and have the right philosophy. And that's we love to call our project for sustainable performance culture, which means that you want to perform over time, but it needs to be sustainable in a way. You can't use more than you have, and that's why we talked about motivation and so on already from the young age. So, and also that we come together and share. We need to share. We don't win as singletons. We need, even though we have individual sport, we need to share between the individuals. That this is what we have learned throughout the years, so everybody can kind of benefit from that. So I think that's some of the biggest factors when it comes to sport. Oil fund, yeah, we were lucky. We had the oil out in the North Sea, but we had some fantastic smart politicians that understood that we need to think ahead. So I think that's a brilliant that we could do that. Oscar, it's sometimes since we won an Oscar last time, so I think so. But no, but we are doing better. But I think we can still do better than that. So yeah, I'm not that impressed, but
okay. Two more questions. One question is regarding World Cup. You are in New York right now. Can you tell me what is important for the team? They need to upscale their performance once again, to reach topic once again during the summer, things like that. It's long competition, big distance, for the most of the teams, other time zone. What would you recommend for the player, team, or coach or group for such an important, maybe once in a life opportunity?
Enjoy, first of all. Enjoy. I mean, this is a dream for so many players. But then again, I believe in your own skills and basically go out there and try to play up towards your potential, not start doing fancy things. But I think they are in good hands with the head coach, and they have their own mental coach, which I heard is good. So but obviously time zones for many players is off season. So I think that's kind of a challenge, not for the players in the Norwegian league, but for the other players to actually, hey, we're going to continue. They have a long and loaded season behind, so to at least be aware that you need to focus on the recovery, as much as you can, when you can, time zones, weather or temperature, and so on. Yeah.
And the last question is for the people from all cultures, all backgrounds, all age. Bjorn, I'm really worried about the future of the society, of the world, and things like that. And it's really difficult. Things are speeding up. Everything is of bigger magnitude. Maybe I'm overthinking, but you tell me that if I'm overthinking. But what is the advice for the ordinary people? How to be best version of themselves in such a worrying and challenging world?
Yeah, you mentioned addiction to social media and so on. I think everything is speeding up. Everything is available real time. The only thing that we're not paying attention to is to be real time available to ourselves. So I think that kind of shutting down everything and spend some more time on ourselves. For instance, just by working on this self-esteem track, which is so important for me, not self-confidence, but self-esteem, giving credit to yourself for being you, is quite difficult, especially when you have all these idols available all the time, and they are just perfect. But realizing that you are a human being, accepting that human beings do make errors, that we are always a combination of pluses and minuses, that there is something we don't like with ourselves, but there are other things we like with ourselves, that we can kind of accept that and start using our strengths and not always focusing on our weaknesses, that I'm not good at this, or they are much better than me, but hey, I'm actually really good on this. Then you will start performing better. But knowing yourself, what's giving and draining energy, and giving yourself some clap on the shoulders that I'm worth something. I think that's really important. Don't lose yourself, because you can't actually control that, but you can't really control what's happening in the world. So, long answer, set up some time for yourself to reflect on you, and always ask yourself the question that whatever I'm now concerned about, can I do something about it? And if you can't, it's a waste of time and energy. Spend it on something that you can actually do something about.
Bjorn, tak. I think that's how you say thank you in Norwegian. Thank you very, very much for your time. It was, I cannot say enlightening, maybe it's a strong word, maybe it's a phrase, but it helped a lot, and I hope that it will help a lot to many people and athletes, especially young people, which are the future of the world. I wish you all the best. I know that you are modest about Norway, but we should look up to some of the results you did, especially with Bodo Glimt, who is some kind. It's not a fairy tale story; it's a story, right? It's a true story.
Yeah, it's the true story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Bjorn. Bjorn, thanks a lot. Whatever you need from my side, feel free. I know that a lot of people will comment on this and try to reach you out. I will keep your contact for myself. I will not share it until you say you can. But really, thanks. All the good luck, all the best, and hope to meet you once.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you very much. Hvala još jednom Generaliju i Plazmi koji su zapravo i omogućili ovaj razgovor. Da nije bilo njih, ne bi bilo ni ovog podcasta. Ukoliko vi želite da doprinesete i da podelite, zapratite ili možda donirate, ovakve stvari bi bilo još više i bile bi još bolje. Zahvalnost Bjornu Mannsverku, čoveku koji je mentalni trener u Bodo Glimtu i koji radi na nekoliko projekata, između ostalog i u državnom fondu u Norveškoj. Budite tu, pokušat ćemo da napravimo još bolje stvari, ali to zavisi ne samo od nas, već i od vas. Hvala još jednom, do sledeće prilike. Ćao.